When I went back to Bangladesh and I told my husband that I wanted a divorce, he didn't say anything at first. I thought it went really well, but within maybe 10 or 15 days of that conversation, he attacked me. It was a life-threatening attack which left me blind.
Most of us can remember when that extreme case of domestic violence hit the headlines and it became personal for so many of us.
Yeah,
in this part of
because
the world.
that was just a snippet from a documentary about what has happened to Rumana Monzur. And she's from Bangladesh, was studying at UBC, went back home to Bangladesh to tell her husband she wanted a divorce, and that is when this life-altering attack happened. There is a happy ending to this story, and now her story is being told in a new book as well. And so we're really pleased to have the subject of the book, Rumana Monzur, is here. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And we have the author, Denise Chong. Thank you for coming in, also originally from Vancouver, I believe.
Yes.
And the author of 5 books now, including The Concubine's Children. So she's got quite the track record here as well.
Indeed.
You've got a good author here in your case. Can you start, we'll just take you back briefly to that time. Can you tell us a little bit about the injuries you sustained and how that changed your life?
Yes, absolutely. I guess what was the permanent damage done to my eyes. And because of that, when I arrived here with the support of UBC, then I never got my sight back again. I went through 4 eye surgeries, and also the doctors needed to get me reconstruct my nose. And I had injuries on my right forearm, everywhere, so grafting needed to be done there. So all that to say that I was a complete mess.
Right.
And then
what happened to your nose?
He bit off the tip of my nose, so there was a huge hole there, and so they needed to reconstruct my nose, taking a piece of bone from one of my ears.
I must say you look lovely. So they did a good job too.
Your resilience is astonishing. You're sitting before us here today telling your story. You've shared your story with Denise, and we can all read that now. What brought you from that moment of extreme domestic violence to a place these years later where you feel not just comfortable but confident in sharing your story?
I learned through this horrible experience that, well, we actually, as human beings, we go to 2 different schools in life. The school we go to as we are children, first comes the lesson and then the test. But in the school of life, I realized that first comes the test and then comes the lesson. And for myself, I learned the lesson after the test. And one of the things that I hated, I denied to do, is to stay down. I just decided to stand up and then started moving forward because I just didn't want to grieve for too long. I had the responsibility of a 5-year-old.
Wow.
And all that happened. And also I guess that it was perspective, change of perspective. Because before, what used to be a wall to me, I felt that now I perceive it as a landmark that guides me to the right door. So I guess again those are the lessons and reflections on those lessons again and again.
Wow, I love that. Denise, we should show the cover of the book. It's called Out of Darkness. And can you explain to us how you came to this project?
What links us together is we have the common agent. And when my agent approached me saying Rumana Monzur would like her story told, she shared with me a letter that Rumana wrote to her daughter Anushe, saying, I'm ready to document and this is why. And it was very personal. So by the time it lands in my hands, I'm interested in the social issues of the day and an intimate story to illuminate it. And yes, I knew the headlines, and I wanted to unravel that and understand domestic violence through Rumana's eyes, but also set it in the bigger picture. And you know, in the end, and I knew there was a story of resilience coming through, although, you know, after working on the book, Rumana is extraordinary, there's no doubt about that, but it also tells a story of how she refused, as those who suffer domestic violence should take the example. She refused to be a victim.
Yeah.
She insisted on reclaiming the identity she had. She was not going to have that identity imposed upon her. So in rebuilding her life, she came back to the Rumana she was. So we were talking, Rumana and I, about the dedication to the book.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the hardest part. I thought, who should I dedicate this book to? And I thought, when the book was out, I said, I didn't hear from Rumana what she thought, but I dedicated it to Anushe.
Oh, nice.
And it's not just because of that letter that was written. That's only a small part of it. I felt that Anushe represented to me the girls and the women who ought to feel safe from the outset. They shouldn't be harmed in the first instance.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your daughter. You know, you said I was a mother of a 5-year-old. I had to move forward. Well, that 5-year-old's now an 18-year-old, and we just saw some beautiful visuals of your smiling, wonderful daughter. Tell us what that journey as a mother was like in moving forward.
And she witnessed the attack, did she not? That's just
yes.
horrifying.
Yeah. So when we first arrived in Vancouver, I guess the distance from everything back home where it happened, her mom became blind, was a huge relief for her. It helped her. And of course, both of us went to counseling, received professional help. And when it was done, then at one point, I didn't have to take her anymore. And then what happened in the process is that I got more and more confident as a single parent. I started navigating our lives together as a blind mom. And she started to learn. She became like my first to-go person when I needed something to be described. So she did such a fantastic job. So she is my inspiration, my pride now, and I'm happy to say that UBC as an institution, what UBC did for me, my daughter will be starting the same will go to the same institution in September.
Yes.
So
It's so awesome, really, because the good news story is that, I mean, you persevered, the UBC community rallied around you and helped to bring your family here, and you graduated as a lawyer, you're working for the Justice Department. Tell us what life is like now and how you have taken that experience and how it informs your work now.
I guess one of the things which I learned is a community, what a community can do to change someone's lives, and I'm an example of that. So for the movement really started from St. John's College, where I lived as an international student when I first came to UBC. And my friends there, they really started this movement, which ultimately UBC got involved. And then it all started from there, right? And the government got involved and brought me and my family. So I feel that the support of community, what it can do. And after I came back, as you said, I pursued the study of law. But before that, I finished my master's thesis. In this whole process, my friends from St. John's College were with me together. So I myself received so much from my community and my friends and my family that I just felt it was time to give it back to community. And as joining the Department of Justice was one of the decisions that I deliberately made to serve Canadians. And in the process, I not only do that, I'm also a co-chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Action Committee, because I don't know if it's unfortunate that I'm the first blind lawyer in our British Columbia regional office, so we still have to go a long way.
Right.
And so I do advocate for the rights of people with different abilities, and then also women's rights and people who are vulnerable, belong
for
to
you.
the vulnerable group.
You're a superhero. My goodness.
We should ask.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to ask you, Denise. Was there an aha moment for you? You've been working on the project together with Rumana for like 6 years. Is there a takeaway that you want people to close the cover and go, wow?
I want them to, Rumana will speak for herself, you know, who she is. She represents so much. But I want people to really kind of soul search about the issue of domestic violence. I mean, she's a textbook case and she came out of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, but unfortunately we had to hear about it when it hit the headlines. And often it comes to a point where we read about, you know, another statistic in a what would be a deadly assault. It's the contrast when I went to Bangladesh. The university there at first said, oh, it didn't happen on campus, it doesn't concern us. Then there were others that hoped it would start a movement against domestic violence. Progress is very slow there. And you see it in the headlines today, more and more of an issue, heightened during COVID. So I think it's always timely to expose the public to stories like this so that we can really think and talk about it.
Reading the book, obviously very important, but also you've got a couple of speaking engagements that you're doing in promotion of Out of Darkness because this conversation is so very important. Where can our viewers tap into that or follow along?
Yes, well, my next talk is at the Vancouver Public Library on Saturday from 2 to 3.
Great.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing your story. I mean, I just think it is so important, and it warms my heart to see you so optimistic and a big smile on your face, and life looks pretty good for you. So Rumana Monzur and Denise Chong, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
A couple of superheroes making change, and also a message to those who might be in crisis right now. If you can see yourself in this situation, seek help. Call a trusted friend. There is help for you if you need it.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about decriminalization. Is it a failed experiment or life-saving legislation? Everybody has an opinion. So do we.
We definitely.
We're going to talk about out when we come back.
Okay, let's lighten up with our viewing party. Mind you, it was pretty light here because I'm just in awe of our guests here, but I'm also in awe of you, Lisa in Vancouver. Go Canucks, go.
We have Patricia in Cloverdale. Thanks for sending in a photo.
Rick and Val in Campbell River. We see you.
And Sally in Nanaimo. Thanks to everyone for sending in the photos.
Sending in photos, taking a part in the fun viewing party at chekmedia.ca, brought to you by the BCRFA.